Welcome, everyone, dear listeners. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our future stories. Now, let's begin our tale. In the dim, flickering glow of a solitary candle, the plague doctor prepared himself for another day beneath the shadowy veil of his peculiar mask. The elongated beak, crafted of leather and stuffed with aromatic herbs, offered scant protection against the miasmas believed to waft through the air like vengeful spirits. Yet, this guise, this enigmatic visage, had become synonymous with a relentless struggle against death's unyielding advance. Outside the small, stone-built chamber that served as both his sanctuary and prison, the world lay caught in the throes of a relentless pestilence. The air was thick with the scent of decay and despair, a noxious perfume that clung to everything it touched. In the narrow, winding streets of the village, once alive with the vibrant tapestry of daily life, now silence reigned as the undisputed monarch. Only the occasional, heart-wrenching wail or the mournful tolling of a distant bell broke the oppressive stillness. Yet, amid this landscape of sorrow, the doctor found an unexpected companion, a resolute, iron-willed determination that defied the grim odds. Each morning, as the first pale fingers of dawn reached across the sky, he donned his heavy cloak, a somber cascade of black that swept around him like the wings of a raven. The time-worn leather gloves whispered against his skin, a reminder of the countless lives he had tried to save and those he had lost. With a steady breath, he stepped into the day, the mask transforming the world into a series of muted scents and softened edges, its glass eyes tinting the sun's light into a spectral glow. It was a strange, distorted reality, one where he was both observer and participant in a drama that unfolded anew each day. His first destination was the edge of the village, where the small cottages huddled together as if seeking solace in each other's presence. Here, he would visit the family of a young boy, the latest victim of the invisible scourge. The air inside the cottage was thick with the herbal smoke of rosemary and sage, a futile attempt to ward off the encroaching shadows of illness. The boy lay in a simple wooden bed, his face flushed with fever, his small chest rising and falling with shallow, labored breaths. Kneeling by the bedside, the doctor felt the weight of his role settle upon him like a shroud. He was a custodian of hope and despair, a bearer of both comfort and finality. His voice, muffled by the mask, offered gentle reassurances as his practiced hands examined the child, fingers tracing the path of swollen lymph nodes, the telltale marks of the plague. The child's mother watched with eyes hollowed by nights of sleepless vigil, her hands clasped in silent prayer. The doctor knew this scene too well, the silent agony of parents in the grip of helplessness. His own heart ached with an empathy that transcended the barriers of his protective armor. He whispered a few words of comfort, promising to return, though he knew the promise of healing was a fragile one, often shattered by the capriciousness of fate. As he left the cottage, the doctor felt the weight of eyes upon him. The villagers watching from behind shuttered windows, their gazes a mixture of fear and hope. He was a figure both feared and revered, a specter that traversed their world with the authority of knowledge and the inevitability of death. Continuing his rounds, he moved through the village with a deliberate pace, each step a rhythm of solace and sorrow. The cobbled streets echoed with the soft thud of his staff, a steady cadence that marked his passage. He visited the old and the young, the rich and the poor, for the plague made no distinction in its cruel selection. In one modest home, he found a young woman, her beauty dimmed but not extinguished by the fever that gripped her. Her husband, a blacksmith with hands scarred from years of toil, stood helplessly by, his eyes pleading for a miracle. The doctor spoke gently, his words a balm for the spirit, even as his remedies fought a battle against the relentless tide of disease. As the day wore on, the sun arced across the sky, casting long shadows that crept insidiously along the ground. The doctor paused briefly to take in the world around him, the fields now fallow and untended, the trees standing sentinel against the coming winter. The village, once vibrant with the laughter of children and the bustling of market days, was now a place suspended between life and oblivion. In the afternoon, he made his way to the makeshift infirmary at the edge of the village, a hastily constructed shelter where the afflicted were brought to await either recovery or death. The air here was heavy with the scent of medicinal herbs and the low murmur of prayers. The doctor moved among the patients, a silent guardian of hope, administering tinctures and poultices, offering what comfort he could to those who hovered at the brink of eternity. Each face bore the mark of suffering, each pair of eyes a testament to the indomitable will to live. The doctor marveled at the resilience of the human spirit, even as he mourned the fragility of the human form. He worked tirelessly, a solitary figure amid the sea of cots, his presence a beacon of hope in the gathering gloom. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of crimson and gold, the doctor returned to his chamber, weary yet resolute. He removed his mask, the air cool and refreshing against his skin, a reminder of the world beyond his protective shell. The candle flickered, casting dancing shadows on the stone walls, a silent witness to his solitary vigil. He sat for a moment, letting the silence envelop him, a companion as familiar as the weight of his cloak. The day's memories swirled around him, a tapestry of faces and voices, each one indelibly etched upon his soul. He thought of the child and the young woman, of the blacksmith's pleading eyes and the silent prayers of the faithful. Each life a story, each story a part of the grand narrative of existence. The doctor knew that the morrow would bring more of the same, the unending cycle of hope and despair, of life and death. Yet he also knew that in his hands lay the power to offer solace, to ease suffering, to be a light in the darkness. And so, with a heart both heavy and hopeful, he prepared for another day, ready to face the unknown with courage and compassion. In the quiet of the night, the village lay at rest, a fragile peace descending upon its weary inhabitants. The doctor, too, found a measure of tranquility, a brief respite before the dawn of a new day. As sleep claimed him, the dreams of a world healed and whole danced on the edge of his consciousness, a whisper of hope carried on the wings of the night. The first light of dawn crept through the narrow slats of the wooden shutters, casting delicate patterns on the stone floor of his humble abode. The doctor awoke slowly, the remnants of dreams lingering like morning mist in the recesses of his mind. Dreams of a world untouched by the scourge, where laughter and song rang through the air, where the scent of fresh bread and blooming flowers overpowered the stench of decay. He rose from his simple bed, his body aching from the previous day's labors. Outside, the village stirred to life, the sounds of cockerels crowing and the distant bleating of sheep weaving a familiar tapestry of rural life. Yet, beneath it all, a somber undertone persisted, a reminder of the ever-present specter that shadowed their existence. The doctor donned his garb, layers of linen and wool meant to shield him from the pestilence, though he knew its true protection lay more in superstition than science. The mask, with its long beak-like nose filled with aromatic herbs, was both a barrier and a symbol, a visage both comforting and terrifying to those he served. It was his armor, his ally in the fight against the unseen foe. He stepped into the morning air, the chill biting at his skin, invigorating in its purity. The sky above was a canvas of soft pastels, the promise of a new day painted in hues of rose and gold. As he walked through the village, the faces he passed were a gallery of silent greetings, nods of respect and gratitude, mingled with the weariness of survival. His first visit was to the home of the elderly widow, a woman whose husband had succumbed in the early days of the plague. Her small cottage was a haven of warmth and simplicity, the scent of herbs hanging in the air like a protective charm. She greeted him with a smile that belied the sorrow in her eyes, her frail hands clasped around his own in a gesture of trust and friendship. As he examined her, noting the signs of fever and fatigue, he spoke of remedies and rest, of the importance of nourishing both body and spirit. Her faith was a palpable thing, a light that shone from within, unwavering even in the face of darkness. He left her with a tincture of willow bark and a prayer for strength, his heart a little lighter for having shared in her resilience. The day unfolded in a series of such encounters, each one a chapter in the ongoing story of his life. The young mother with a babe in arms, her eyes wide with fear and hope. The blacksmith, whose once strong hands shook with the effort of wielding his tools. The priest, a beacon of faith, whose sermons now spoke of endurance and grace in adversity. In every home, he offered what he could, a listening ear, a comforting word, a small measure of relief. And in return, he received their stories, their fears and dreams, the essence of their humanity. It was a gift, this exchange, a reminder of the interconnectedness of all things. As the sun reached its zenith, the doctor paused to rest by the village well, its cool water a balm for his parched throat. He watched as children played nearby, their laughter a rare and precious sound. It was in these moments, amidst the simplicity of life, that he found his greatest solace. A brief respite from the weight of his duty, a chance to remember why he continued to fight. The afternoon brought a call from the outskirts of the village, a family in need of his care. The path to their home wound through fields of wildflowers, their vibrant colors a stark contrast to the somber hues of his thoughts. He marveled at their beauty, a reminder that nature persisted, undaunted by the trials of man. Upon arrival, he was greeted by the anxious faces of parents, their child burning with fever in a small bed. The room was filled with the scent of lavender and thyme, an attempt to ward off the sickness that clung to the air. The doctor worked swiftly, his hands steady and sure, his voice a calm presence in the storm. As evening fell, he made his way back to the village, the horizon ablaze with the fiery glow of the setting sun. The day had been long, the toll heavy, yet he felt a sense of fulfillment, a quiet satisfaction in the knowledge that he had made a difference. However small, however fleeting, it was enough. The village square was alive with the glow of lanterns, the soft murmur of voices as people gathered to share a meal, a moment of community amidst the chaos. The doctor joined them, his heart warmed by their fellowship. Here, among friends and neighbors, he found not only sustenance for the body, but nourishment for the soul. As the evening wore on, stories were shared, songs sung, and for a time, the worries of the world were set aside. The doctor listened, his spirit buoyed by the strength and resilience of those around him. They were survivors, each one carrying within them the spark of life, the will to endure. When the gathering dispersed, he walked slowly back to his home, the night air cool and crisp against his skin. The village lay quiet once more, a hush falling over the land as if in anticipation of the dreams to come. The doctor paused, gazing up at the stars, their distant light a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the smallness of his own existence. Yet, in that smallness, he found purpose. In the face of overwhelming odds, he chose to stand firm, to fight for the living, to honor the memory of those who had passed. It was a burden, yes, but also a privilege, a testament to the strength of the human spirit. And so, as he settled into bed, the weight of the day upon him, he allowed himself a moment of reflection. He thought of the faces and voices that had filled his hours, the stories that had touched his heart. Each one a thread in the tapestry of life, a reminder of the beauty found in even the darkest of times. With a weary sigh, he closed his eyes, the promise of dreams guiding him into slumber. And in those dreams, he found hope, a vision of a world healed and whole, a whisper of what might be. It was enough to carry him through the night, into the dawn of a new day, where the cycle would begin anew, and he would once again take up the mantle of the healer, the warrior, the beacon in the dark. Morning light crept through the narrow window of his modest chamber, casting delicate patterns on the stone floor, a dance of light and shadow that mirrored the intricacies of the world outside. The plague doctor awoke to the distant tolling of church bells, their solemn echoes reaching him like a call to arms. He lay still for a moment, tangled in the thin sheets, allowing the vestiges of sleep to dissolve as reality seeped back in, a reality filled with the stench of decay and the cries of the afflicted. He rose with purpose, each movement deliberate, for he knew that the day would demand much of him. As he donned his garb, the heavy cloak, the mask with its long, bird-like beak stuffed with aromatic herbs, he became the figure feared and revered by the townsfolk. To them, he was both a savior and a harbinger, a paradox wrapped in leather and linen. His tools clinked softly in the bag slung over his shoulder, a symphony of metal and glass that was both reassuring and foreboding. Stepping out into the morning air, the chill bit at his cheeks, a reminder that despite the sickness that clung to the town like a shroud, life persisted. The cobblestones beneath his feet were slick with dew, glistening like a promise of renewal. He walked with measured steps, his breath visible in the crisp air, mingling with the faint smoke rising from the chimneys of those still fortunate enough to burn wood. The streets were quieter now, many having retreated to the safety of their homes, the plague's invisible hand driving families behind closed doors. Yet, as he made his way through the winding alleyways, he was not alone. The stray dogs that roamed the labyrinthine passageways followed him at a distance, their eyes watchful and knowing. They, too, had adapted to the rhythm of this new world, scavenging what they could, survivors in their own right. His first visit of the day was to a small cottage on the edge of town, where a young mother awaited him. Her child had fallen ill, the fever swift and unrelenting. As he entered the dimly lit room, the air heavy with worry and the faint scent of lavender, he could feel the mother's fear, a palpable thing that clung to the air like mist. Her eyes met his, pleading, searching for reassurance in the shadowed contours of his mask. The child lay on a simple wooden bed, her breath shallow, skin flushed with the heat of the fever. He approached with care, his gloved hands gentle as they assessed her condition. The mother hovered nearby, a silent witness to his ministrations, her hands clasped tightly as if in prayer. He murmured words of comfort, though his voice was muffled, offering what solace he could in the face of uncertainty. He applied a poultice of herbs to the child's chest, the scent of rosemary and thyme mingling with the stale air. It was a remedy as old as time itself, a gesture of hope against the encroaching shadow. As he worked, he spoke softly to the child, his voice a soothing balm. She gazed at him through fever-bright eyes, trusting, innocent, a reminder of all that was worth fighting for. When he left the cottage, the sun had climbed higher in the sky, casting a warm glow over the town. He paused for a moment, breathing deeply, the fresh air a balm to his senses. The day stretched before him, a tapestry not yet woven, threads of sorrow and hope intertwined. His path led him next to the marketplace, where a different kind of life pulsed beneath the surface. Merchants, their faces lined with worry, tended to their stalls, the vibrant wares a stark contrast to the somber mood. He moved among them, a lone figure in a sea of humanity, his presence both a comfort and a reminder of the fragility of life. As he passed, whispers followed in his wake, the townsfolk casting furtive glances, their eyes filled with a mixture of fear and gratitude. He acknowledged them with a nod, understanding the delicate balance of his role. He was their protector, their guide, and yet he was also a symbol of the very plague they feared. In the heart of the marketplace, he encountered a group of children, their laughter a rare and precious sound. They played in the shadow of a great oak tree, their innocence a beacon amidst the darkness. He watched them for a moment, a smile tugging at the corners of his mouth beneath the mask. It was these moments, these glimpses of joy, that fortified his resolve. Yet, even as he observed the children's play, a sense of unease curled in his stomach, a whisper of foreboding that he could not ignore. He had learned to trust his instincts, owned by years of navigating the delicate dance between life and death, and so he followed the thread of disquiet that pulled at him. His journey took him to the outskirts of the town, where the land stretched out in fields of golden wheat, swaying gently in the breeze. It was here, in this place of quiet beauty, that he found what had drawn him, a small cluster of makeshift tents hidden from view, where the sick had been banished, cast out in fear of contagion. The sight was a punch to the gut, a reminder of the harsh realities that lay beyond the town's walls. The people here were gaunt, their faces etched with suffering, eyes hollow with resignation. They were the forgotten, the ones left to fend for themselves, and his heart ached at the injustice of it all. He moved among them, offering what aid he could, his supplies dwindling with each patient he tended. The gratitude in their eyes was a balm to his weary soul, and he drew strength from their resilience, their courage in the face of despair. Here, amidst the suffering, he found a kinship, a shared understanding that transcended the boundaries of life and death. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, he knew that his work was far from over. The night would bring new challenges, new battles to fight, but he faced it with a steely determination. For he had chosen this path, embraced the mantle of the plague doctor, and though the burden was heavy, it was one he bore with pride. In the fading light, he turned back towards the town, the shadows lengthening around him. The air was cool now, carrying with it the scent of earth and the promise of rain. He walked with purpose, the rhythm of his steps steady and sure, each one a testament to his resolve. And as he made his way back, he thought of the faces he had seen, the lives he had touched, each one a story, a thread in the tapestry of life, woven together in a complex dance of existence. It was a dance he was honored to be a part of, a dance he would continue to fight for until the very end. For in the smallness of his existence, he had found his purpose, and in that purpose, he had found strength. The strength to heal, to comfort, to stand as a beacon in the darkness, a light to guide those who had lost their way. And in that light, he found hope, a whisper of what might be, a promise of a world healed and whole. It was enough to carry him through the night, into the dawn of a new day, where the cycle would begin anew. As the plague doctor made his way back to the heart of the town, the cobblestones beneath his feet echoed softly in the quiet of the evening. The town was cloaked in a subdued hush, the kind that falls when day relinquishes its hold to night. Windows were shuttered, doors firmly closed, as if the very buildings themselves held their breath against the pestilence that lurked unseen. He was a solitary figure, his long beaked mask casting eerie shadows in the dying light. The leather of his coat creaked softly with each step, a familiar symphony of sound that accompanied him through the streets. The cool air whispered against his skin, a gentle reminder of the world outside the heavy confines of his protective garb. As he passed through narrow alleys and under the arched bridges that crisscrossed the town, the sky above deepened to a velvety indigo, speckled with the first stars of the evening. Each star was a pinprick of light, a tiny reminder of the vastness of the universe and the smallness of human endeavor. Yet in that smallness, he found a profound beauty, a connection to something greater than himself. He paused for a moment, standing on the cusp of the marketplace, now deserted and eerily silent. The stalls that bustled with life during the day were now mere silhouettes, their wares packed away, their vibrancy dulled by the blanket of night. The scent of spices lingered faintly, mingling with the musty odor of dried herbs, a reminder of the life that pulsed through these streets when the sun was high. As he stood there, he thought of the stories these cobblestones held, the laughter and tears they had absorbed over the years. They were silent witnesses to the ebb and flow of life, the joys and sorrows, the beginnings and endings. And in their silent company, he felt a kinship, a shared understanding of the passage of time. But the weight of his duty soon called him back to the present, urging him onward. The sick awaited him, their lives hanging in the balance, fragile as gossamer threads. His heart ached at the thought of them, and he quickened his pace, determined to reach them before the night grew too old. The path led him to a modest house at the edge of town, its windows dark, the garden overgrown with neglect. He paused at the threshold, taking a deep breath to steady himself before stepping inside. The air was heavy, carrying the unmistakable scent of illness, a cloying odor that settled in the back of his throat. Inside, the world was reduced to shadows and whispers, the flickering light of a single candle casting long, wavering shapes on the walls. He moved quietly, his presence a comfort to those who watched him with hollow eyes, their hope pinned on the figure in the strange mask. He knelt by the bedside of a young woman, her face pale and drawn, her breath coming in shallow gasps. He spoke softly, his voice a gentle murmur in the stillness, offering words of solace and strength. With careful hands, he tended to her, his touch light yet assured, each movement a testament to his commitment to the art of healing. As he worked, he was acutely aware of the fragility of life, the delicate balance between health and sickness, between life and death. It was a dance he had witnessed countless times, yet each encounter was unique, each life a precious thread in the vast tapestry of existence. The hours slipped by unnoticed as he moved from patient to patient, each one a story etched into his memory. He offered what comfort he could, his presence a balm to those who suffered, a reminder that they were not alone. And in their gratitude, he found a quiet joy, a sense of fulfillment that transcended the hardships of his calling. When at last his work was done, he stepped outside, the cool night air a welcome relief from the stifling confines of the sick room. He removed his mask, breathing deeply of the fresh air, his eyes turned towards the sky once more. The stars were brighter now, their light unwavering in the darkness, a symbol of hope eternal. As he made his way back through the still silent town, he carried with him the stories of those he had tended to, their faces etched into his heart. They were his companions, these memories, a constant reminder of the importance of his work, the necessity of his presence in a world beset by suffering. And as he walked, he allowed himself to dream of a future where the plague was but a memory, a shadow cast upon the pages of history. He dreamed of a world renewed, where laughter rang out once more in the streets, where the marketplace bustled with life and color, where the sick were healed and the lost were found. It was a dream he clung to, a beacon in the darkness, a promise of what might one day be. It was enough to sustain him, to carry him through the long nights and the harsh realities of his existence. For in that dream, he found a purpose that transcended the boundaries of time, a calling that sang to the very core of his being. And so, with the dawn still hours away, he continued on, his steps steady and sure, his heart full of hope and determination. He was a plague doctor, a guardian of life in a world beset by death, a light in the darkness, a beacon of hope for those who had none. And in that light, he found his path, his purpose, his reason for being, and it was enough. The skies above were a deep indigo, dotted with the fading stars that whispered secrets of the night to those who dared to listen. The air was crisp and cool, a gentle caress that wrapped around him like an old familiar cloak. The village lay silent and still, bracing itself for the first light of dawn. The world was hushed, as if holding its breath, suspended in a moment of tranquility before the inevitable chaos of the day resumed. The plague doctor, a solitary figure clad in his dark robes and beaked mask, moved through the cobblestone streets with a quiet grace, each step a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. His leather satchel, filled with vials and herbs, swung gently at his side, a comforting weight that reminded him of his mission. As he passed by the shuttered windows of humble cottages, he could almost feel the presence of the families within, huddled together against the encroaching fear. He imagined their whispered prayers, their hopes clinging to the fragile threads of faith, their dreams echoing his own. He was not alone in his longing for a world reborn, where the specter of disease no longer cast its shadow over the lives of the innocent. His path took him to the edge of the village, where the fields stretched out like a patchwork quilt beneath the pale moonlight. Here, the earth was rich and fertile, its promise of renewal a stark contrast to the devastation that lurked in the hearts of men. He paused for a moment, letting the silence envelop him, listening to the distant call of an owl as it hunted in the night. It was in these moments of stillness that he found solace, a chance to recharge his weary spirit, to fortify himself against the struggles that lay ahead. The land, untouched by the scourge of illness, whispered its own kind of magic, a reminder that life persisted, even in the face of overwhelming odds. With renewed determination, he turned back towards the village, his thoughts drifting to the task at hand. Each house he visited was a story waiting to unfold, a tapestry of human experience woven with threads of joy and sorrow, hope and despair. He was both an observer and a participant, a witness to lives forever altered by the unseen hand of fate. His first stop was a small cottage on the outskirts, where a young woman lay ill. Her mother, a frail figure with eyes shadowed by worry, greeted him at the door, her gratitude evident in the tremble of her voice. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of herbs and the quiet murmur of prayer. The girl, no more than 16 summers, lay motionless on her bed, her skin pale and clammy, her breath a shallow whisper. He approached with the gentle confidence of one who had faced this foe many times before. The mask, with its long beak filled with aromatic herbs, shielded him from the miasma of disease, but it was his hands, steady and sure, that brought comfort to the living. He checked her pulse, felt her forehead, and whispered words of encouragement to the mother, who watched him with eyes wide with hope. As he worked, he could feel the weight of their trust, a burden he carried willingly. It was a sacred bond, forged in the crucible of necessity and bound by the shared desire for life. He mixed a tincture of willow bark and cloves, a humble remedy that offered a sliver of relief from the ravages of fever. It was not a cure, but it was something, a small act of defiance against the darkness that threatened to consume them all. With the potion administered, he lingered for a moment, watching as the girl stirred, her eyelids fluttering like the wings of a trapped butterfly. He saw the faint flicker of life returning, a spark that kindled his own resolve. The mother clasped his hand, her touch a silent plea for salvation, and he nodded, offering reassurance in the only way he knew how. As he stepped back into the cool embrace of the night, the weight of his calling settled upon his shoulders once more. Each life he touched was a reminder of why he continued, why he endured the endless march of days and nights, the relentless battle against an invisible foe. It was a journey fraught with peril and uncertainty, but it was also a journey of profound significance. He moved on, his route taking him through the heart of the village, past the church with its solemn bell tower that stood vigil over the souls entrusted to its care. The graveyard beyond was a somber testament to the toll of the plague, a sea of freshly turned earth marked by simple wooden crosses. He paused here, offering a silent prayer for the departed, a promise that their sacrifice would not be forgotten. His thoughts turned inward to the memories of those he had lost along the way, comrades and strangers alike, each one a thread in the tapestry of his life. They were ghosts that haunted his dreams, shadows that lingered at the edge of his consciousness, reminders of the fragility of existence. But they were also beacons of hope, guiding him forward, urging him to continue, to fight on in their stead. The night was growing old, the first hints of dawn painting the horizon with hues of pink and gold. The village stirred beneath the lightening sky, the promise of a new day breathing life into the weary souls who called this place home. He watched as the world awoke, the sound of children's laughter ringing out like a balm upon his tired soul. In these moments, he found the courage to face whatever lay ahead, to embrace the challenge with a heart unburdened by doubt. He was a plague doctor, a guardian of hope in a world shrouded by despair, and it was enough. For in his hands he held the power to heal, to comfort, to bear witness to the indomitable spirit of humanity. As the sun climbed higher, casting its warm glow upon the land, he continued his rounds, his steps light and purposeful. The village was coming alive, the streets filling with the vibrant hum of life, a symphony of sound and color that spoke of resilience and renewal. He moved among them, a silent sentinel, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there was always light to be found. And so he walked, his path stretching out before him like a ribbon of infinite possibility, his heart full of hope and determination. For he knew that the battle was far from over, that there were still lives to save, stories to tell, dreams to nurture. And it was enough, for in the end, it was the dream that sustained him, the promise of a brighter tomorrow that gave him the strength to face another day. The village, nestled in the cradle of rolling hills and lush meadows, was a tapestry of vibrant hues and delicate fragrances. As the plague doctor made his way through the cobblestone streets, his senses were enveloped by the rich scents of earth and foliage, the sharp tang of herbs mingling with the sweet aroma of blooming flowers. The air was a symphony of life, a reminder that even in the shadow of death, nature persisted in its eternal cycle of renewal. The villagers, clad in garments of humble wool and linen, moved with a quiet determination, their faces etched with a blend of weariness and hope. Children played in the dirt, their laughter a melody that cut through the heavy silence, while women hung laundry on lines that danced in the gentle breeze. Men gathered in small knots, their voices a low murmur, as they shared news and offered support to one another. The doctor paused by a well, where an elderly woman was drawing up a bucket of water. Her hands were gnarled and weathered, her eyes a deep well of wisdom and sorrow. She met his gaze with a nod of acknowledgement, her lips curving into a faint smile. It was a gesture of gratitude, of recognition, a silent bond formed in the crucible of shared struggle. He continued on, his path leading him to a small cottage on the outskirts of the village. It was a modest dwelling, its thatched roof sagging under the weight of time, its walls bearing the scars of countless seasons. The garden, however, was a riot of color, a testament to the care and love of its occupants. Sunflowers stretched their golden heads towards the light, while lavender and rosemary released their soothing scents into the air. The door creaked open as he approached, revealing a young woman with tired eyes and a wary smile. Her name was Elspeth, and she was a healer of sorts, her knowledge of herbs and remedies passed down through generations. She greeted him with a soft voice, inviting him inside with a gesture of welcome. The interior of the cottage was dim and cool, the air filled with the comforting scent of dried herbs hanging in bunches from the ceiling. A fire crackled in the hearth, casting flickering shadows across the walls. Elspeth led him to a small table where a young boy lay, his face flushed with fever. His breaths came in shallow gasps, his small body racked with shivers. The doctor knelt beside the child, his skilled hands moving with practiced ease as he assessed the boy's condition. Elspeth watched with anxious eyes, her hands twisting in her apron as she murmured a silent prayer. The doctor reached for his satchel, extracting a vial of tincture brewed from willow bark and feverfew. With gentle precision, he administered the remedy, his touch a balm of reassurance. For a moment, time seemed to hold its breath. The room suspended in a fragile bubble of hope. The boy's breathing began to steady, the fever's grip loosening its hold. Elspeth's shoulders sagged with relief, tears glistening in her eyes as she whispered her gratitude. The doctor rose to his feet, his gaze meeting hers with a nod of understanding. There was no need for words, for they both knew the battle was not yet won. But in that moment, the small victory was enough, a beacon of light in the enveloping darkness. As he took his leave, Elspeth pressed a small pouch into his hands, a gift of herbs and salves that she had crafted with care. It was a token of appreciation, a gesture that spoke of the bonds forged in the fires of adversity. He accepted it with a bow of thanks, his heart warmed by the kindness of strangers. The sun was beginning its descent as he made his way back through the village, the sky painted in hues of gold and rose. The air was thick with the scent of evening fires, the sounds of the day giving way to the quiet hush of dusk. The villagers were beginning to retreat to their homes, the streets falling into a peaceful stillness. Yet, as he walked, a sense of unease began to creep over him, a prickle of tension that whispered of unseen dangers lurking in the shadows. He could feel the weight of unseen eyes upon him, the subtle shift in the air that spoke of secrets and hidden threats. His instincts, owned by years of experience, urged him to quicken his pace, his senses attuned to the slightest hint of danger. He glanced around, his gaze sweeping over the landscape, seeking the source of his disquiet. It was then that he saw them, figures cloaked in darkness, slipping through the alleyways with the stealth of predators. Their movements were furtive, their intentions shrouded in mystery. He knew better than to confront them, for in times of plague, fear and desperation often gave rise to violence and mistrust. Instead, he altered his course, his steps leading him towards the safety of the village inn. It was a place of refuge, a sanctuary where the weary could find solace and companionship in the company of others. The innkeeper, a burly man with a booming voice and a heart of gold, greeted him with a hearty clap on the back, ushering him inside with a warm welcome. The common room was a haven of warmth and light, the air filled with the comforting hum of conversation and the aroma of hearty stew. The villagers gathered around the hearth, their faces aglow with the camaraderie of shared stories and laughter. The doctor found a seat by the fire, his presence acknowledged with nods and smiles. As the evening unfolded, he listened to the tales of those around him, stories of loss and resilience, of love and hope. The villagers spoke of their fears and dreams, their voices weaving a tapestry of human experience that was both unique and universal. And as he sat there, surrounded by the warmth of community and the strength of the human spirit, he felt a sense of peace settle over him. The shadows outside might still hold their secrets, but within these walls, there was light and laughter, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, humanity endured. The night wore on, the fire burning low, the room slowly emptying as the villagers retired to their beds. The doctor remained by the hearth, lost in thought, his mind a whirlwind of memories and hopes. He knew that the road ahead was fraught with challenges, but he also knew that he was not alone. For in the faces of those he had met, in the stories they had shared, he had found a wellspring of strength and inspiration. It was a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable hardship, the human spirit was unbreakable, its light shining brightly against the encroaching darkness. And so, as the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, he rose from his seat, his heart buoyed by the promise of a new day. The world outside was still shrouded in uncertainty, but within him burned a fierce determination, a resolve to continue his journey, to protect and heal, to bear witness to the enduring legacy of hope. For he was a plague doctor, a guardian of life and light, and it was enough. As dawn broke over the silent village, the first tendrils of light stretched across the cobblestone streets, wrapping them in a gentle embrace that promised warmth and renewal. The doctor, his silhouette a stark figure against the amber glow, stood tall and resolute. The night had been a tapestry of whispered fears and quiet resolutions, but now, with the sun's ascension, came a new chapter of his journey, a journey marked by the footprints of those he sought to save and the shadows of those he had lost. With a final glance at the now dormant hearth, he stepped out into the crisp morning air. The village, still slumbering, was a sea of quietude, the only sound a distant rooster heralding the day. Each breath he took was a reminder of the life that coursed through his veins, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit that he had witnessed time and again in the faces of the afflicted and the caretakers alike. His boots crunched softly on the dew-kissed ground as he made his way towards the outskirts of the village, where the path diverged into the wilderness beyond. Here, the world was wild and untamed, a stark contrast to the orderly world of stone and thatch left behind. The forest loomed ahead, a cathedral of towering trees whose branches wove an intricate lacework against the sky, filtering the sunlight into a gentle, dappled dance upon the forest floor. This was the realm where he felt most alive, the sanctuary where he found solace amidst the chaos of pestilence. The forest, with its symphony of life, whispered secrets known only to those who dared to listen. Each leaf, each rustle, each chirp of an unseen bird was a reminder of the delicate balance of life and death, a dance as old as time itself. As he walked, the doctor's senses awakened to the world around him. The air was rich with the earthy scent of moss and loam, mingling with the sweet fragrance of wildflowers that dotted the path like stars fallen to earth. A gentle breeze caressed his cheek, carrying with it the distant murmur of a brook, its waters singing a lullaby older than memory. In this place, he was not simply a harbinger of healing or a witness to suffering. Here, he was a part of the greater whole, a single thread in the vast tapestry of existence. The weight of his responsibilities, though ever present, was tempered by the understanding that he was not alone in his vigil. Nature itself was a healer, its cycles of life and decay a testament to the eternal renewal that lay at the heart of all things. Yet, even in this serene sanctuary, shadows lingered. The specter of the plague was never far from his thoughts, a relentless reminder of the fragility of life and the ever-looming specter of death. The villagers he had left behind, their faces etched with fear and hope, were never far from his mind. Their plight was his own, their suffering a burden he willingly bore. As he journeyed deeper into the forest, the path narrowed, winding its way through thickets of brambles and clusters of ferns that brushed against his legs like the soft touch of ghosts. The light grew dimmer, the canopy above thickening until it became a verdant ceiling, filtering the world into shades of green and gold. Here, in this twilight realm, he paused, drawing a deep breath as he surveyed his surroundings. The forest was alive with a quiet energy, a symphony of sounds that sang of life persisting against all odds. It was a reminder that even in the darkest of times, life found a way to endure, to adapt, to thrive. And yet, beneath this vibrant facade, there lingered a sense of unease, a whisper of something amiss. The doctor's practiced eyes scanned the undergrowth, and it's searching for signs of illness in the natural world. The forest, though seemingly untouched by the plague that ravaged human settlements, was not immune to its touch. Here and there, leaves curled and blackened, a silent testament to the creeping malaise that sought to claim all in its path. Continuing his journey, he crossed a small clearing where the sunlight fell in a brilliant cascade, illuminating a patch of wildflowers that swayed gently in the breeze. It was here that he paused, drawn by a presence that seemed to defy explanation, a feeling, an intuition, that something lay just beyond the veil of the visible. Kneeling among the flowers, he reached out to touch the earth, feeling the pulse of life thrumming beneath his fingertips. It was here, in this quiet communion with nature, that he found the answers he sought. The earth spoke to him in a language beyond words, a symphony of sensation that resonated deep within his soul. It was in this moment of clarity that he understood the true nature of his calling. He was not merely a healer of bodies, but a guardian of the delicate balance that sustained all life. The plague, with its relentless advance, was a force of chaos, a disruption of the natural order that threatened to unravel the very fabric of existence. But even in the face of such adversity, there was hope. For in every life saved, in every soul comforted, in every moment of connection forged amidst the darkness, there was a spark of light that defied the encroaching shadows. It was this light, this indomitable spirit, that he sought to nurture and protect. Rising from his reverie, the doctor continued his journey, the path ahead both daunting and wondrous. The forest, with its secrets and its mysteries, was a reminder that the world was vast and unknowable, a tapestry woven from countless threads of life and death, hope and despair. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting its light upon the world with a benevolent warmth, the doctor emerged from the forest, stepping once more into the realm of man. The village lay ahead, a collection of humble dwellings nestled amidst fields of golden grain, their thatched roofs gleaming in the sunlight like jewels upon the earth. Here, in this place of simplicity and hardship, he found his purpose renewed. The villagers, with their fears and their hopes, were waiting for him, their lives entwined with his own in a dance as old as time. And though the road ahead was fraught with challenges, he knew that he would not walk it alone. For in the hearts of those he served, in the stories they shared, he found a wellspring of strength and inspiration. It was a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable hardship, the human spirit was unbreakable, its light shining brightly against the encroaching darkness. And so, with a heart buoyed by the promise of a new day, he returned to his work, a guardian of life and light, a bearer of hope in a world shadowed by despair. For he was a plague doctor, and it was enough. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the village that seemed to stretch out like the fingers of a dark memory. Each step forward brought the plague doctor closer to the heart of the community, where the air was thick with both the scent of fear and the earthy fragrance of the fields that surrounded them. The villagers watched him approach, their eyes a mix of apprehension and relief, as if they were seeing both a specter of death and a beacon of salvation. His mask, with its long, bird-like beak, bobbed gently with each step, a peculiar silhouette against the warm glow of the setting sun. It was a visage that had become a symbol of the times, strange, unsettling, yet necessary. Within its confines, he inhaled the aromatic blend of herbs and spices tucked inside, a small comfort against the miasma of sickness that clung to the air like a stubborn fog. The village square was a place of quiet congregation, its cobblestones worn smooth by generations of footfalls. It was here that he would set up his makeshift infirmary, a sanctuary of sorts amidst the turmoil. As he laid out his tools, simple in their design yet formidable in their purpose, the villagers gathered around, their faces etched with lines of worry and fatigue. Among them was a young woman, her eyes wide with the weight of burdens too great for her years. She approached him hesitantly, a small bundle wrapped in linen cradled in her arms. Her voice, when she spoke, was a whisper, barely audible over the rustling leaves and the distant call of a solitary bird. "Please, sir," she implored, her words trembling like leaves in the wind. "My brother is ill. We've done what we can, but he's not getting better." The plague doctor nodded, his heart heavy with the knowledge that he could not save them all. Yet in her plea, he heard the echoes of countless others, each voice a thread in the tapestry of suffering that had become his life's work. He followed her through the winding paths of the village, past gardens that struggled to flourish, their once vibrant blooms now tinged with the pallor of disease. The house she led him to was modest, its walls weathered by time and the relentless elements. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of fever, a cloying presence that seeped into his bones. In a small, dimly lit room, her brother lay on a straw pallet, his skin pale and glistening with sweat. The plague doctor knelt beside him, his practiced hands moving with a gentle precision as he assessed the young man's condition. Each breath was a laborious effort, a battle against the invisible invader that ravaged his body. The doctor reached into his satchel, retrieving a vial of tincture infused with hope and the healing properties of nature. He administered it carefully, whispering words of encouragement that seemed to hang in the air, a fragile comfort against the storm. As he worked, the village seemed to hold its breath, the silence punctuated only by the soft murmur of the wind and the distant roll of a thundercloud gathering on the horizon. It was a moment suspended in time, a delicate balance between despair and the flickering flame of hope. The young woman watched with a mixture of gratitude and fear, her hands clasped tightly as if in prayer. She lingered at the doorway, a silent sentinel bearing witness to the struggle for life unfolding before her. The plague doctor felt her presence like a tether, grounding him in the reality of his mission. The hours passed in a blur of motion and stillness, the world outside fading into the background as the doctor focused on the task at hand. Finally, as the first stars began to prick the velvet sky, he rose, his body weary, but his spirit unyielding. "He is strong," he told the young woman, his voice a gentle reassurance. "With rest and care, he may yet recover." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, a mixture of relief and the lingering shadow of uncertainty. She thanked him, her words simple but heartfelt, a balm to the wounds that the world had inflicted upon his soul. Leaving the house, the plague doctor stepped back into the night, the cool air a welcome relief against the heat of the day. The village was hushed, its inhabitants withdrawn into their homes, seeking solace in the embrace of loved ones and the promise of dawn. He walked the empty streets, his thoughts a quiet reflection of the lives he had touched and the many more that awaited his care. Each step was a meditation, a reminder of the fragility and resilience that coexisted in every human heart. As he reached the edge of the village, he paused, looking back at the small community nestled beneath the stars. In the quietude, he felt a kinship with the land and its people, a shared understanding of the cycles of life and death that governed them all. The road stretched out before him, a path winding into the unknown, yet he faced it with a steadfast resolve. For in the darkness, he carried a light not his own, a torch kindled by the courage and hope of those he served. And so, with the night as his companion, he continued on his journey, a solitary figure moving through the tapestry of shadows and light, a guardian of life in a world shadowed by despair. As the stars wheeled overhead in their eternal dance, he walked onward, bound by duty and guided by the whispering winds of fate. The path unfurled like a ribbon beneath the moonlit sky, a silvery trail that beckoned the plague doctor forward, each step a testament to his unwavering resolve. The air was crisp, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and distant pine, a reminder of the natural world that thrived despite the decay wrought by the pestilence. As he walked, his senses attuned to the symphony of the night, he could hear the soft rustle of leaves, whispering secrets only the forest knew. The gentle hoot of an owl punctuated the stillness, a haunting melody that resonated with his solitude. In this world of shadows and silence, he felt both the weight of his burden and the lightness of his purpose. Entwined in a delicate balance, he was a lone figure against the vastness, yet never truly alone. The spirits of those he had tended to lingered in his thoughts, their stories woven into the fabric of his being. With each life he had touched, he felt a thread connecting him to something greater, a tapestry of humanity that spanned beyond the confines of his own existence. The road meandered through the countryside, leading him past fields shrouded in mist, where the faint outlines of scarecrows stood sentinel against the unseen. Their silent vigilance struck a chord within him, a parallel to his own role as guardian against the unseen foe that ravaged the land. The scarecrows, much like himself, were symbols of a fragile hope, standing firm against forces they could not control. As dawn approached, the sky began to blush with hues of lavender and rose, the darkness retreating in the face of the sun's gentle embrace. The plague doctor paused to witness this daily miracle, a reminder of the cyclical nature of life, of beginnings and endings intertwined. The first rays of sunlight kissed the landscape, illuminating the world in a golden glow, and with it, his spirit lifted. He resumed his journey, the warmth of the morning sun a balm against the chill that had settled in his bones. The road now wound through a dense forest, the canopy above filtering the light into dappled patterns that danced across his path. The forest was alive with the chorus of waking creatures, the chirping of birds and the scurrying of unseen animals, creating a symphony that accompanied his steps. In this verdant haven, he found solace, a brief respite from the grim reality that awaited him in the villages ahead. Yet, even amidst such beauty, he could not escape the shadows that lingered at the edges of his mind, the memories of those he could not save, their faces etched into his soul. He recalled the eyes of a young mother, wide with fear as she cradled her feverish child, pleading for a miracle he could not provide. Her desperation was a mirror of countless others, each one a reminder of the limits of his power. And yet, within those confines, he found a glimmer of grace, a testament to the strength of the human spirit in the face of insurmountable odds. The road continued to unfurl, leading him to a crossroads where a small shrine stood, a humble testament to the faith that sustained the weary travelers who passed by. He paused here, offering a silent prayer to the gods of old and new, seeking guidance and strength for the journey that lay ahead. As he resumed his path, his thoughts turned to the village he had just left, its people now part of his ever-growing tapestry of memories. They were resilient, holding fast to each other in the face of adversity, their community a beacon of hope amidst the darkness. It was this spirit that fueled his own resolve, driving him to continue his work despite the toll it took on his body and soul. The sun climbed higher in the sky, casting long shadows that danced across the landscape, and with it, a sense of urgency quickened his pace. The next village lay just beyond the horizon, its people unaware of the visitor who approached, bringing both healing and the somber reality of the plague. He knew the pattern all too well, the initial fear and skepticism, followed by the gradual acceptance as he donned his mask and set to work. The macabre costume he wore, with its beaked visor and dark robes, was both a shield and a symbol, a reminder of the perilous times and the tenuous grasp on life that they all shared. Yet beneath the mask, he was but a man, subject to the same fears and frailties as those he sought to aid. It was this shared humanity that sustained him, the knowledge that, despite the darkness, there was light to be found in the connections forged amidst suffering. As he approached the village, he could see the telltale signs of the plague's presence. Shuttered windows and the acrid scent of smoke, a futile attempt to cleanse the air of unseen poisons. The villagers watched his arrival with a mixture of hope and dread, their eyes following his every move as he made his way to the center of their community. They gathered around him, a sea of weary faces etched with worry and fatigue, each one a testament to the struggle for survival that defined their existence. With a steady hand, he began his work, tending to the sick, with a compassion born of experience, his touch gentle and reassuring. Throughout the day, he moved among them, offering what comfort and care he could, a steady presence amidst the chaos. The hours passed in a blur, his mind focused on the tasks at hand, yet always aware of the fragility of the lives he held in his hands. As the sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of amber and crimson, he paused to catch his breath. The day's work had taken its toll, yet there was still more to be done, more lives to touch, and stories to become a part of. He took a moment to reflect, his gaze sweeping over the village that had, for a brief time, become his home. In their eyes, he saw a reflection of his own journey, a testament to the resilience and courage that define the human spirit, even in the face of despair. With renewed determination, he continued his work, knowing that the road would soon call him onward to the next village, the next community in need of his care. Yet for now, in this moment, he was present. A guardian of life, in a world shadowed by despair, a solitary figure moving through the tapestry of shadows and light, bound by duty and guided by the whispering winds of fate. As twilight draped its cloak over the weary village, the plague doctor, known as Elias to those who dared to ask, moved with a quiet grace, his silhouette stark against the fading light. The beak of his mask, once intimidating, now an oddly comforting sight to the villagers, bobbed gently as he made his rounds. Each step was deliberate, each movement a dance with destiny, as though he were a conductor orchestrating the delicate symphony of life and death. The air was thick with the scent of decay and herbs, a pungent reminder of the battle waged within these humble walls. The miasma that clung to the village seemed almost sentient, pulsing with the heartbeat of the afflicted. Yet, amidst this melancholy, there lingered a sweet undertone, a hint of hope that refused to be extinguished. It was the scent of resilience, a fragrance born of prayers whispered into the night and dreams clutched tightly against the encroaching darkness. Elias moved among the villagers, his presence a balm to their fears. Though his face remained hidden, his eyes spoke volumes, conveying a compassion that transcended the barriers of his garb. He tended to a young mother, her brow fevered and her eyes glazed with the weight of suffering, her infant nestled beside her, a fragile promise of tomorrow. Gently, he administered his remedies, a concoction of nature's bounty and alchemical secrets, hoping to coax life back from the precipice. The night deepened, stars flickering to life in the velvet sky, distant and indifferent to the struggles below. Elias found himself lingering by the hearth of an elderly couple, their hands entwined like ivy that had weathered countless storms together. They spoke in hushed tones, their voices a lullaby of shared memories and enduring love. For a moment, Elias allowed himself to be drawn into their world, to imagine a life that stretched beyond the confines of his duty. But the cries of the sick were relentless, pulling him back to the present with an urgency that could not be ignored. He moved on, a solitary sentinel in the night, guided by the flickering glow of lanterns and the soft murmur of prayers. Each patient was a new story, a new thread woven into the tapestry of his journey. He listened as much as he healed, knowing that sometimes the greatest gift was to simply bear witness to their lives. In the depths of the night, a figure approached him, a young girl with eyes like pools of moonlight, her face framed by wild, unruly curls. She was a wisp of a thing, yet there was a fire in her gaze that belied her years. "Doctor," she whispered, her voice barely more than a breath, "my brother is sick. Will you come?" Elias nodded, his heart heavy with the familiar weight of impending loss. Together, they navigated the narrow alleys, their footsteps echoing softly against the cobblestones. The house they entered was modest, its walls adorned with the simple trappings of a life lived humbly. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of illness, a cloying reminder of the battle being waged within. The boy lay on a pallet by the window, his skin pale and his breathing shallow. His eyes flickered open as Elias approached, and for a moment, they locked gazes. In that instant, a silent understanding passed between them, a recognition of the fragility of existence. The girl knelt by her brother's side, her fingers brushing his hair with infinite tenderness, a gesture that spoke of a bond unbreakable even by death. Elias set to work, his hands moving with practiced precision, yet his mind was elsewhere, caught in the web of what-ifs and maybes. He worked tirelessly, blending potions and prayers, each action a plea to the universe for mercy. The girl watched with an intensity that belied her youth, her hope a tangible force that filled the room. As dawn's first light crept through the window, Elias sat back, exhaustion etched into his very bones. The boy's breathing had steadied, the fever that had gripped him loosening its hold. It was a small victory, a momentary reprieve in a world where such moments were rare and precious. The girl turned to Elias, gratitude shining in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Elias nodded, too weary to speak, yet his heart swelled with a warmth that transcended words. In that moment, he was reminded why he continued this relentless journey, why he faced the darkness day after day. It was for moments like this, when the flicker of life was reignited, when hope was rekindled in the eyes of the living. With the new day came the realization that it was time to move on. The village would endure, its people strengthened by their trials, but there were others who needed him, other stories waiting to be told. Elias gathered his belongings, the familiar weight of his satchel, a comfort against his side. He took a last, lingering look at the village, at the faces that had become so dear to him in such a short time. As he walked away, the wind whispered through the trees, a gentle caress that echoed the murmured farewells of those he left behind. The road stretched out before him, a ribbon of possibility unfurling beneath the endless sky. Each step was a choice, a commitment to the path he had chosen, a promise to continue his work until the world no longer needed him. Yet even as he moved forward, he carried with him the stories of those he had touched, the echoes of their lives resonating within him like a symphony. He was a weaver of tales, a guardian of secrets, a steward of hope in a world that so desperately needed it. And as long as there were stories to tell, as long as there were lives to save, he would walk this path, a solitary figure bound by duty, guided by the whispering winds of fate. The road ahead was a winding thread of earth and stone, bordered by fields that stretched like a patchwork quilt beneath the brilliant blue of the sky. As the plague doctor walked, the rhythm of his steps became a steady mantra, a soothing balm for the weariness that clung to his bones. The sun was a benevolent presence above, casting long shadows that danced alongside him in a silent, playful mimicry. His heart was a mingling of sorrow and determination, a vessel brimming with the weight of the world yet buoyed by a singular purpose. Every village he visited left its mark upon him, a tapestry of lives interwoven with his own. The faces he had tended to lingered in his mind, their stories a constant, murmuring chorus that urged him onward. The scent of the land was rich and earthy, a reminder of the cycle of life that continued despite the shadow of death that loomed ever near. The fields were dotted with wildflowers, vibrant patches of color that defied the grim reality of the times. They nodded gently in the breeze, their delicate petals a testament to resilience and beauty in the face of despair. As he journeyed, the doctor often found himself in the company of birds. They flitted from tree to tree, their songs a melodic counterpoint to his solitary journey. He envied their freedom, their ability to soar above the world and escape the burdens that tethered him to the earth. Yet he also understood that his path, though fraught with hardship, was a necessary one. The road led him to a dense forest, its canopy a verdant tapestry that filtered the sunlight into dappled patterns on the ground. The air was cool and fragrant, infused with the scent of pine and damp earth. The forest was alive with the rustling of leaves and the distant calls of unseen creatures, a reminder of the life that thrived in the shadows. As he walked, the doctor allowed himself to drift into a meditative state, his thoughts a gentle stream that flowed in tandem with the rhythm of his steps. Memories surfaced unbidden, images of faces both familiar and forgotten. He saw the eyes of a young girl, wide and trusting as he assured her that all would be well. He recalled the frail hand of an elderly man, clutching his own in a final gesture of gratitude. These memories were both a burden and a gift, a reminder of the impact he had on the lives of others. They were a testament to the fragility of life and the enduring strength of the human spirit. As he moved through the forest, he carried these stories with him, a silent promise to those he had left behind. The path through the woods was a winding one, twisting and turning in a serpentine dance that seemed to lead deeper into the heart of the forest. The trees stood like sentinels, their ancient trunks thick with moss and secrets. The doctor felt a sense of reverence in their presence, as if he were traversing sacred ground. He paused for a moment, allowing himself to be enveloped by the tranquility of the forest. The air was filled with the gentle rustle of leaves, a soothing lullaby that eased the tension from his body. He closed his eyes, breathing deeply, and felt the weight of the world lift ever so slightly from his shoulders. But even in this serene environment, the specter of his duty was never far. The knowledge that disease could strike anywhere at any time was a constant companion. It was a haunting reality that spurred him onward, driving him to continue his relentless quest. Emerging from the forest, the doctor found himself at the edge of a small hamlet. The village lay nestled in a valley, its thatched roofs and stone cottages a picturesque contrast to the wild beauty of the surrounding landscape. Smoke curled lazily from chimneys, a sign of life and warmth that was both comforting and foreboding. As he approached, the doctor was greeted by a group of villagers who had gathered at the entrance to the hamlet. Their faces were a mosaic of hope and fear, their eyes searching his own for reassurance. He offered them a nod, a silent promise that he would do all he could to help. The village was a microcosm of the world beyond, a place where life and death danced in a delicate balance. The doctor moved among the villagers, his presence both a balm and a reminder of the fragility of their existence. He listened to their stories, each one a thread in the intricate tapestry of the human experience. There was the mother who clung to her child, her eyes dark with worry as she recounted the first signs of illness. There was the farmer who spoke of his crops, his voice tinged with both pride and desperation as he sought reassurance that his livelihood would endure. The doctor moved from house to house, his satchel a repository of potions and remedies that offered a glimmer of hope. He worked tirelessly, his hands a blur of motion as he tended to the sick and comforted the dying. In every face he saw the reflection of his own fears and hopes, a reminder of the shared humanity that bound them all. As night fell, the village was bathed in the soft glow of lanterns, their flickering light a beacon in the darkness. The doctor stood at the edge of the village, gazing out at the stars that dotted the night sky like scattered diamonds. He felt a kinship with those distant points of light, each one a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the smallness of his own existence. Yet even in this moment of solitude, he felt the presence of those he had left behind. Their stories were woven into the fabric of his being, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. He knew that as long as there were lives to save, as long as there were stories to tell, he would continue his journey. The wind whispered through the trees, a gentle caress that carried with it the echoes of the past and the promise of the future. The doctor closed his eyes, allowing himself to be carried away on its breath. He was a solitary figure, bound by duty, guided by the whispering winds of fate, and in that moment, he knew that he was exactly where he was meant to be. The path before him was shrouded in the silvered glow of moonlight, the cobblestones bathed in a luminescent sheen that seemed almost ethereal. The plague doctor, with his long beaked mask and dark robes, cut a shadowy figure against this spectral tableau. Each step he took was deliberate, echoing softly in the quiet of the night, a gentle rhythm that matched the beating of his weary heart. His journey through the village had been one of both dread and hope, an intricate dance between despair and the faintest glimmer of salvation. The houses stood like silent sentinels, their windows darkened, save for the occasional flicker of a candle or the distant murmur of hushed voices. Behind those walls, families clung to one another, fighting an invisible enemy with all the strength they could muster. The plague doctor was no stranger to such scenes. His life had become a tapestry woven with threads of suffering and resilience. He had seen children born into a world ravaged by disease, their cries a poignant reminder of life's tenacity. He had watched as loved ones said their final goodbyes, their tears mingling with whispered prayers that hung in the air like delicate cobwebs. Yet even amidst the sorrow, there were moments of profound beauty. He had witnessed the kindness of strangers, the generosity of those who had little to give but gave nonetheless. He had seen courage in the eyes of those who faced their fate with a dignity that was nothing short of heroic. These were the stories that sustained him, the stories that fueled his resolve to continue, even when the weight of his burden seemed too great to bear. As he walked, the night seemed to breathe around him, a living entity that held secrets within its depths. The air was cool and crisp, carrying with it the scent of earth and wood smoke, a sensory reminder that life persisted despite the encroaching darkness. The doctor paused for a moment, reaching into the recesses of his mind to touch upon the memories of those he had encountered along his path. He thought of the young mother, her face pale but serene, cradling her child in her arms as she sang softly to lull him to sleep. He remembered the elderly man with eyes like polished stones, who had spoken of the past with a wistful reverence, each word a testament to the life he had lived. And there was the girl with the raven hair, who had smiled even as she lay on her deathbed, her spirit unbroken by the sickness that ravaged her body. These were the souls who had etched themselves into his heart, their stories a part of his own. As he continued his solitary vigil, he felt their presence beside him, their whispers carried on the wind, urging him onward. He knew that he was but a vessel, a conduit through which their tales would live on, a reminder that even in the face of despair, there was light to be found. The village path eventually led him to the edge of a forest, its trees standing tall and silent, their branches intertwined in a pattern that mirrored the constellations above. Here, the world seemed to hold its breath, as if it too were caught in the delicate balance between hope and despair. The doctor paused, drawing in a deep breath, allowing the stillness to seep into his bones. He was not alone for long. A rustle in the underbrush drew his attention, and he turned to see a figure emerge from the shadows. It was a woman, her face partially concealed beneath the hood of a cloak. Her eyes met his, and in them, he saw a reflection of his own weariness and determination. She approached with a quiet grace, her movements fluid and purposeful. "Are you the healer?" she asked, her voice a gentle murmur that seemed to harmonize with the rustling leaves. He inclined his head, acknowledging her unspoken plea. "I am," he replied, his voice steady but tinged with the weight of countless nights spent in service of others. The woman nodded, her eyes never leaving his. "There is a child," she began, her words faltering as if the enormity of what she was asking threatened to overwhelm her. "He is sick, and we have tried everything we know. Please, will you come?" Without hesitation, the doctor assented, for he lived for moments such as these. Moments where his presence, however small, might tip the scales in favor of life. Together, they walked through the forest, the path winding beneath the canopy of trees that whispered secrets to the stars. The woman's cottage was modest, nestled at the heart of the woodland like a forgotten treasure. Inside, the air was warm and filled with the scent of medicinal herbs. A fire crackled softly in the hearth, casting a golden glow over the room. In the corner lay the child, his small form swallowed by the blankets that cocooned him. The doctor approached with reverence, his heart reaching out to the fragile life before him. He knelt beside the child, his fingers gentle as he assessed the fevered brow and listened to the labored breathing. The child's mother watched with eyes filled with hope and fear, her hands clasped tightly as if in prayer. Time seemed to stretch and contract as the doctor worked, his hands moving with practiced precision. The herbs he carried in his satchel were a balm, their scents mingling with the warmth of the room to create an atmosphere of quiet healing. He whispered words of encouragement, his voice a soothing presence that wrapped around the child like a tender embrace. As the night wore on, the child stirred, his eyes fluttering open to meet those of the stranger who had come to his aid. In that moment, there was a connection, a silent understanding that transcended words. It was a reminder that even amidst the shadows, there was a light that could not be extinguished. The child smiled, a small tentative gesture that spoke of resilience and trust. The doctor returned the smile, his heart swelling with a sense of purpose that carried him through the darkest of nights. He knew that he could not save everyone, but in saving one, he had made a difference. As dawn broke, the woman stood by the door, her eyes filled with gratitude as she watched the doctor prepare to leave. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. "You have given us hope." The doctor nodded, his heart full with the knowledge that in this small corner of the world, he had made an impact. He stepped out into the early light, the forest alive with the chorus of morning birdsong. The path stretched out before him, a ribbon of possibilities waiting to be explored. He walked with renewed purpose, knowing that there would always be more villages, more stories, more lives to touch. The stars had long since faded from the sky, but their light lingered in his soul, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there was a reason to keep moving forward. And so he did, one step at a time, guided by the whispering winds of fate and the enduring power of the human spirit. The morning air was crisp and alive, each breath a cool caress against his skin, as the plague doctor made his way along the dirt path that wound through the dense forest. Sunlight dappled through the canopy above, casting shifting patterns on the ground that danced in time with the rustling leaves. It was a world of quiet symphony, where every sound seemed to hold a story, every breeze a whispered secret from the earth itself. With each step, the doctor allowed himself to be enveloped by the forest's embrace, the familiar sense of pine and damp earth mingling with the distant, sweet perfume of wildflowers. The path before him was a tapestry of vibrant greens and browns, the edges lined with ferns that quivered in the gentle wind. As he walked, he felt the weight of his role momentarily lift, replaced by the comforting rhythm of nature's pulse. Yet, beneath this serene surface, a tension simmered, an unspoken awareness of the suffering that lay ahead. Each village he visited bore the scars of the plague, its invisible claws tearing through communities, leaving sorrow and loss in their wake. The doctor's heart was a vessel that carried these stories, each one a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. Ahead, the path began to narrow, leading him towards a small clearing. Here, the trees parted to reveal a humble village, its thatched roofs peeking through the treetops. Smoke curled lazily from chimneys, a sign of life and warmth amid the encroaching chill of autumn. The doctor paused at the edge of the clearing, taking in the scene before him. Despite the beauty of the setting, there was a heaviness in the air, an almost palpable sense of anticipation. As he resumed his journey, the village slowly came to life around him. Curious faces peered from doorways and windows, eyes shadowed by fear and hope in equal measure. Mothers gathered their children close, their expressions a mix of skepticism and yearning. The doctor knew that his arrival was both a beacon of hope and a reminder of the despair that had gripped their lives. He approached the center of the village, where a small group had gathered, their murmurs a soft hum that broke the morning silence. The village elder, a stooped man with a face etched by time and hardship, stepped forward to greet him. His eyes, though weary, held a spark of determination that belied his frail appearance. "Welcome, doctor," the elder said, his voice a gravely whisper that seemed to resonate with the very ground beneath them. "We have heard of your work, and we are grateful for your presence here." The doctor inclined his head in acknowledgement, the brim of his wide hat casting a shadow across his face. "I will do what I can," he replied, his voice steady and resolute. "Please, show me where I am needed most." With a nod, the elder turned, leading him through the maze of cottages that made up the heart of the village. They passed by a well, its stones slick with moss, and a small garden where the last of the season's vegetables clung to their vines. Despite the outward tranquility, there was an undercurrent of urgency, a silent plea for salvation that hung in the air. The elder led him to a modest house at the edge of the village, its thatched roof sagging under the weight of years. The door creaked open to reveal a room dimly lit by a single candle, its flickering light casting long shadows that danced across the walls. Inside, a woman lay on a narrow bed, her face pale and drawn, each breath a laborious effort. The doctor moved to her side, his presence a calming balm amid the chaos of sickness. He assessed her condition with practiced eyes, noting the telltale signs of the plague's relentless march. He worked swiftly, his hands guided by the knowledge and experience he had amassed over countless such encounters. As he tended to the woman, he spoke softly, his words a gentle stream meant to soothe and reassure. He spoke of hope, of the strength found in moments of darkness, and of the power of the human spirit to endure. His voice was a lifeline, a thread of connection that wove through the stillness of the room. Time seemed to stretch and contract, the minutes blending into an indistinct haze. Outside, the village carried on, the rhythm of daily life a backdrop to the drama unfolding within the small cottage. The doctor's focus remained unwavering, his every action a testament to his commitment to the lives entrusted to his care. As the hours slipped by, the woman's breathing grew steadier, her color returning slowly, like the first blush of dawn. The doctor worked tirelessly, his own weariness forgotten in the face of this fragile victory. He knew that each life saved was a triumph over the darkness that sought to consume them all. Eventually, the woman's eyes fluttered open, her gaze meeting the doctor's with a clarity that had been absent before. She offered him a small, tentative smile, a gesture that spoke volumes of gratitude and hope renewed. It was a moment of quiet triumph, a reminder of why he continued to walk the path he had chosen. The doctor rose, his limbs heavy with fatigue, yet buoyed by the knowledge of a life reclaimed. He stepped outside into the waning light, the village now bathed in the warm glow of the setting sun. The elder stood nearby, his expression one of quiet respect and appreciation. "Thank you, doctor," the elder said, his voice filled with a depth of emotion that transcended words. "You have given us a gift beyond measure." The doctor nodded, his heart full with the understanding that in this small corner of the world, he had made a difference. The path ahead was long and fraught with challenges, but he knew that he would continue to walk it, guided by the enduring power of the human spirit and the whispering winds of fate. As he prepared to leave, the villagers gathered to bid him farewell, their faces a tapestry of hope and resilience. The doctor took one last look at the village, a place where he had found both sorrow and triumph, and then turned to continue his journey. The forest awaited, its paths winding through the unknown, each step a promise of new stories yet to be told. And so he walked, the rhythm of his steps echoing the heartbeat of the earth beneath him, a solitary figure guided by compassion and a steadfast resolve to bring light to the darkest of times. The forest enveloped him like an ancient, breathing entity, its canopy a tapestry woven with threads of light and shadow. Each step the doctor took seemed to resonate with the size of the earth, the crunch of leaves underfoot, a delicate symphony that accompanied his thoughts. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and the subtle musk of decaying foliage, punctuated by the occasional sweet note of wildflowers hidden amongst the underbrush. The path ahead was not just a physical journey, but a passage through the realms of memory and possibility, a corridor of life and death, where the doctor had learned to walk with reverence and resolve. As he moved deeper into the forest, the world of civilization faded behind him, replaced by the ancient rhythms of the wild. The trees stood as silent sentinels, their branches whispering secrets to the wind, while the occasional rustle in the undergrowth hinted at unseen creatures going about their daily rituals. The doctor found solace in this solitude, a balm for the weariness that clung to him like a shadow. Here, in the embrace of nature, he could shed the burdens of the world, if only for a moment, and allow himself to simply be a man among the trees. The forest path twisted and turned, each bend revealing new vistas, sometimes a glade bathed in ethereal light, sometimes a dark grove where the sun's reach was but a distant memory. The doctor knew that life, much like this path, was unpredictable and fraught with uncertainty. Yet, it was this very unpredictability that imbued each moment with meaning, each encounter with the potential for transformation. As the sun began its slow descent, casting elongated shadows across the forest floor, the doctor came upon a clearing where the remnants of an ancient stone circle stood. The stones, weathered and covered in moss, stood like ancient guardians of forgotten lore. Here, time seemed to stretch and compress, the air heavy with the echoes of past rituals and whispered incantations. The doctor paused, feeling the weight of history pressing upon him, a reminder of the countless souls who had once sought solace and answers within this sacred space. He sat upon one of the stones, its surface cool and rough beneath his fingers, and allowed his thoughts to wander freely. He thought of the villagers he had left behind, their faces etched into his memory like characters in an unfolding tale. He thought of the stories they had shared, each one a thread in the tapestry of human experience, woven with the colors of joy, sorrow, love, and loss. And he thought of the road ahead, the promise of new stories waiting to be discovered, each one a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of crimson and gold, and the world began to shift into the realm of twilight. The doctor lit a small fire, its flames dancing in the encroaching darkness, a beacon of warmth and light amidst the gathering night. As he sat there, the fire crackling softly, he felt a presence, an awareness that he was not alone in this sacred place. From the shadows emerged a figure, cloaked and hooded, moving with the grace of one accustomed to the forest's secrets. The doctor felt no fear, only a quiet curiosity as the figure approached and took a seat across the fire. The stranger's face remained hidden, but their voice, when they spoke, was rich and resonant, carrying the weight of untold stories. "Greetings, traveler," the stranger said, their tone a gentle caress against the night air. "What brings you to this ancient circle, where the past and present entwine?" The doctor regarded his companion with interest, sensing in them a kindred spirit, someone who had walked their own path through the labyrinth of life. "I am a healer," he replied, his voice steady and calm. "I seek to ease the suffering of those touched by the plague, to bring light where there is darkness." The stranger nodded, their hood shifting slightly with the movement. "A noble calling," they said, their words carrying a hint of admiration. In times such as these, the world is in desperate need of those who carry the light. They sat in companionable silence for a while, the fire crackling between them, a living entity with a voice of its own. The doctor found the presence of the stranger comforting, a reminder that even amidst the vastness of the world, there were others who walked a similar path. "Do you believe in fate?" the stranger asked suddenly, their voice thoughtful, as if they were pondering the very fabric of existence. The doctor considered the question, the flames casting flickering shadows upon his face. "I believe in the choices we make," he replied slowly, "and in the power of the human spirit to shape its own destiny. But I also believe that there are forces beyond our understanding, currents that guide us towards certain moments in time." The stranger chuckled softly, a sound like the rustle of leaves in a gentle breeze. "Wise words," they said, their tone warm with approval. "There is much we do not know, and perhaps that is the greatest mystery of all." The night deepened, the sky a tapestry of stars, each one a distant world, a beacon of light in the infinite expanse of the universe. The doctor felt a sense of peace settle over him, as if the very stars were watching over him, guiding him on his journey. As the fire began to wane, the stranger rose, their movements fluid and graceful. "Our paths may cross again," they said, their voice a soft promise carried on the wings of the night. "Until then, may you find the light you seek and bring healing to those in need." The doctor watched as the stranger melted into the shadows, becoming one with the forest, their presence lingering like a gentle echo. He sat for a while longer, the fire's embers glowing softly, before finally settling into sleep, the night cradling him in its serene embrace. Come morning, the doctor awoke with the first light of dawn, the forest bathed in a soft, ethereal glow. The fire's ashes were cool, the stones around him silent witnesses to the night's encounter. He rose, stretching his limbs, feeling a renewed sense of purpose coursing through him. The path beckoned once more, winding through the forest, a thread of possibility weaving its way through the tapestry of the world. The doctor set out, his heart light and his spirit buoyed by the promise of new beginnings, ready to face whatever lay ahead. And so he walked, a solitary figure amidst the vastness of the forest, guided by the light within and the eternal dance of fate, each step a testament to the enduring power of hope and the unyielding strength of the human spirit. The morning air was crisp and fragrant, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and pine. Each breath the doctor took was a reminder of the world's intricate beauty, a gentle contrast to the shadows of his profession. The forest was alive with the rustling of leaves, a symphony orchestrated by the wind that danced through the branches, whispering secrets of ancient times. As he walked, the doctor marveled at the dappled sunlight streaming through the canopy above, creating intricate patterns on the forest floor. His eyes traced these shifting mosaics, finding solace in their impermanence, a reminder of life's ever-changing nature. The path, though meandering, was firm beneath his feet, a reassuring constant in a world where so much was uncertain. He paused occasionally to gather herbs, their scents mingling in a pouch at his side, a potpourri of nature's remedies. Each plant held a story, a history of healing passed down through generations, and he handled them with reverence, aware of their power and potential. The ancient knowledge of the earth was a balm for his weary soul, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there existed the promise of renewal and life. The forest began to thin as the day wore on, the trees giving way to open fields bathed in golden sunlight. The doctor's heart lifted at the sight of the horizon stretching out before him, a vast canvas painted with the colors of the season. Fields of wildflowers swayed gently in the breeze, their vibrant hues a celebration of life and resilience. His journey led him to a small village nestled at the edge of the forest, its thatched roofs and cobblestone streets a quaint testament to the enduring spirit of its inhabitants. As he approached, the village seemed to hold its breath, the air heavy with anticipation. The presence of a plague doctor was both a beacon of hope and a harbinger of fear, a paradox he had grown accustomed to bearing. Children playing in the street paused to watch him, their eyes wide with curiosity. He offered them a gentle smile, a silent promise of protection. Their laughter, though momentarily stilled, was a balm to his heart, a reminder of innocence untouched by the shadows of sickness. The villagers greeted him with a mixture of relief and apprehension, their faces etched with lines of worry and weariness. They gathered around him, each eager for news, for reassurance, for a glimpse of hope amid the uncertainty. The doctor listened to their tales of illness and loss, his heart heavy with the weight of their suffering. Yet he spoke with kindness, his words a salve for their troubled souls, a reminder that they were not alone in their struggle. As he made his rounds, visiting the sick and tending to the ailing, the doctor found solace in the connections he forged with the villagers. Each interaction was a thread woven into the tapestry of his journey, a testament to the enduring strength of community and the resilience of the human spirit. He found beauty in the small moments, in the shared laughter and quiet tears, in the gentle touch of a hand seeking comfort. The day wore on, the sun casting long shadows across the village. The doctor worked tirelessly, his hands steady and sure, guided by knowledge and compassion. He moved from house to house, his presence a beacon of hope in the gathering gloom. The villagers watched him with a mixture of awe and gratitude, their faith in his abilities a source of strength for him in return. As twilight descended, the village settled into a hushed stillness, the air thick with the scent of wood smoke and the promise of rain. The doctor took a moment to rest, his body weary, but his spirit buoyed by the connections he had forged. He wandered to the edge of the village, where the fields stretched out like a sea of gold beneath the fading light. There, he found a small stream, its waters murmuring softly as they flowed over smooth stones. He knelt beside it, cupping his hands to drink, the cool water a balm for his parched throat. As he sat by the stream, he allowed himself to be enveloped by the tranquility of the moment, the gentle sounds of nature a symphony of peace. The sky above was a tapestry of stars, each one a distant flame, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the smallness of his place within it. Yet, beneath that infinite sky, he felt a profound connection to the world around him, a sense of purpose that transcended the boundaries of his profession. In that moment of stillness, beneath the canopy of stars, the doctor found a quiet strength within himself, a resolve to continue his journey, to face the challenges ahead with courage and compassion. The path he walked was fraught with uncertainty and danger, yet it was also illuminated by the light of hope and the unwavering spirit of those he served. With a renewed sense of purpose, the doctor rose, leaving the stream behind as he returned to the village. The night was deep, the air cool and filled with the scent of rain. As he walked, the doctor felt the weight of the world lift from his shoulders, replaced by a sense of peace and gratitude. He returned to the small cottage where he had been given shelter for the night, its hearth lit with a welcoming glow. The villagers had prepared a simple meal for him, their gratitude evident in the care with which they had prepared it. As he ate, he listened to their stories, their laughter and voices a soothing balm for his weary soul. The night passed in quiet companionship, the doctor sharing stories of his travels, his tales weaving a tapestry of hope and resilience. The villagers listened with rapt attention, their faces alight with wonder and gratitude. In their presence, the doctor found a sense of belonging, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there existed a light that could guide the way forward. As the fire burned low, casting a warm glow across the room, the doctor found himself lulled into a peaceful drowsiness. The villagers bid him good night, their voices soft and filled with gratitude. He settled onto the simple cot they had prepared for him, the blankets warm and comforting. As he drifted into sleep, the doctor's thoughts turned to the path ahead, to the challenges and triumphs that awaited him. His heart was light, his spirit buoyed by the connections he had forged and the hope he carried within him. The night cradled him in its gentle embrace, a promise of renewal and new beginnings. In the quiet of the night, beneath the vast expanse of stars, the doctor found a sense of peace and purpose, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there existed a light that could guide the way forward. His journey was far from over, yet he faced it with a renewed sense of hope and resilience, his heart open to the possibilities that lay ahead. And so he slept, the night a gentle companion, a promise of new beginnings, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. The morning light filtered gently through the small window of the humble cottage, casting soft beams across the room and stirring the doctor from his slumber. He awoke with a languid stretch, the remnants of dreams lingering at the edges of his consciousness like wisps of fog dissipating under the sun's warmth. The air was crisp and carried the earthy scent of dew-kissed grass, a reminder of the world beyond the walls, a world teetering between despair and hope. As he rose from the cot, the doctor noticed the quiet hum of life beginning to stir outside. Birds chirped their morning songs, and the distant murmur of villagers preparing for the day reached his ears. Their resilience, even in the face of such relentless adversity, infused him with a renewed determination. He donned his familiar attire, the long robe and beaked mask that had become his armor against the invisible foe, and stepped outside into the new day. The village was still shrouded in a delicate morning mist, the landscape softened by its ethereal veil. The doctor watched as the villagers moved with a purposeful grace, their faces marked by weariness, but also by an unyielding resolve. They greeted him with nods and smiles, gestures of gratitude for his presence among them, a beacon of hope in their shared struggle. He made his way to the heart of the village, where a modest infirmary had been set up. The small building was a testament to the community's resourcefulness, its simple walls filled with the scent of herbs and the quiet rustle of makeshift beds. Inside, the doctor found his assistant, a young woman with bright eyes and hands that moved with the confidence of one who had learned much in a short time. She greeted him with a warm smile, her presence a comforting constant in the ever-shifting landscape of his journey. "Good morning, doctor," she said, her voice soft but steady. "We have much to do today." He nodded, his mind already turning to the tasks ahead. Patients awaited his care, their faces etched with the marks of the plague, but also with the indomitable spirit that refused to be extinguished. The doctor moved among them, his hands gentle and sure, offering what comfort he could and listening to their stories, their hopes and fears woven into the fabric of their existence. As the day unfolded, the doctor found himself drawn to one particular patient, a young boy with eyes as bright as summer skies, despite the pallor of illness that clung to him. The boy watched the doctor with a gaze that seemed to see beyond the mask, beyond the facade of the healer, into the very heart of the man. "Will I be able to play again, sir?" the boy asked, his voice a whisper, yet filled with an unspoken yearning. The doctor paused, his heart aching with the uncertainty of an answer. He crouched down beside the bed, his voice gentle as the breeze. "I believe you will," he said, infusing his words with as much conviction as he could muster. "There is strength in you, a light that will guide you through this darkness." The boy smiled, a small but radiant expression that seemed to banish the shadows, if only for a moment. It was a smile the doctor carried with him as he moved through the day, a reminder of the light that persisted even when the world seemed shrouded in shadow. The hours passed in a blur of activity, the doctor and his assistant working tirelessly, their efforts a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. As the sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, the doctor took a moment to step outside, seeking solace in the embrace of the evening. The village lay before him, bathed in the soft glow of twilight. He could see the villagers gathering, their laughter and voices mingling in a harmonious symphony. They were preparing for a small celebration, a moment of respite from the weight of their burdens, a chance to honor the bonds that held them together, even as the world threatened to tear them apart. The doctor watched as the villagers lit a bonfire, its flames dancing into the night, a beacon of warmth and light. The flames flickered and swayed, casting shadows that seemed to come alive, weaving tales of their own in the twilight air. The villagers gathered around the fire, their faces illuminated by its glow, their spirits lifted by the simple act of coming together. He felt a gentle tug on his robe and turned to find the young boy standing beside him, his eyes wide with wonder at the scene unfolding before them. The boy slipped his small hand into the doctor's, a gesture of trust and companionship that spoke volumes in its simplicity. "Will you stay with us, sir?" the boy asked, his voice filled with hope. The doctor looked down at the boy, his heart swelling with a tenderness that surprised him. "For as long as I am needed," he replied, his voice a promise carried on the evening breeze. Together, they joined the circle around the fire, the doctor shedding his mask and allowing the warmth of the flames to touch his skin. The villagers sang songs of old, their voices rising in a chorus that resonated with the timeless rhythms of life and death, of joy and sorrow. As the night deepened, the doctor found himself lost in the music, the stories woven into the melodies, a balm to his weary soul. He felt the weight of his journey lifting, the bonds he had forged with these people, a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. In that moment, as the stars began to shimmer in the vast expanse of the sky, the doctor realized that his journey was not just one of healing bodies, but of healing hearts. It was a journey of connection, of understanding the depths of human resilience and the power of hope. And so, amidst the flickering flames and the harmonious voices, the doctor found a sense of belonging, a place where he was not just a healer, but a part of something larger, a thread in the intricate tapestry of life. The night embraced him, its promise of new beginnings, a gentle reminder that even in the darkest of times, there existed a light that could guide the way forward. With the boy by his side and the villagers around him, the doctor felt a profound sense of peace, his heart open to the possibilities that lay ahead. The journey was far from over, but in that moment, he knew he was exactly where he was meant to be, his path illuminated by the enduring light of the human spirit. As the night deepened, the village settled into a serene quietude, save for the occasional rustle of leaves swaying in the gentle breeze. The doctor remained near the embers, the warmth of the fire warding off the chill that crept in with the darkness. His thoughts meandered like a slow river, winding through memories and dreams, fears and hopes, each ripple reflecting the myriad emotions of his journey. He felt the weight of his mask, a constant reminder of his purpose and the burden he bore. It was both a shield and a barrier, protecting him from the contagion, but also isolating him from the world. Yet, here, in this small village nestled amid rolling hills and ancient trees, the mask seemed less of an obstacle and more of a testament to his role, a silent vow to the lives he sought to save. The boy, now fast asleep by the fire, lay cocooned in a blanket, his face relaxed in the innocence of dreams, untouched by the day's harsh realities. The doctor watched him for a moment, the steady rise and fall of the boy's chest, a soothing rhythm against the backdrop of the night. It was a reminder that even in the throes of despair, life continued its relentless march forward, undeterred and unyielding. As the doctor contemplated the hours to come, a soft rustle behind him drew his attention. He turned to see the silhouette of a woman, her features obscured by the shadows, yet there was an unmistakable gentleness in her presence. She approached with a careful grace, her steps light and deliberate, until she stood at the edge of the firelight. "Good evening, Doctor," she greeted, her voice a soft melody that seemed to harmonize with the night itself. "I hope the fire warms you well." "It does, thank you," he replied, inclining his head slightly in acknowledgement. "And you, how do you fare this night?" She hesitated for a moment, as if weighing her words. "The nights are long these days, but the fire brings comfort. It reminds me of the hearth at home, where stories were shared and laughter echoed." The doctor nodded, understanding the solace found in such memories. "It is in these moments of quiet that we find strength, isn't it? The stories, the memories, they sustain us." "Yes," she agreed, her voice a soft whisper carried by the wind. "And in sharing them, we become more than ourselves. We become part of a greater story." The doctor pondered her words, feeling their truth resonate within him. Here, amidst the darkness, he realized that his journey was not solitary. The stories of those he met, their joys and sorrows, interwove with his own, creating a tapestry rich with the colors of humanity. "May I ask your name?" he inquired, curious to know more of this woman who spoke with such quiet wisdom. "Clara," she replied, stepping closer so that the light of the fire illuminated her face. Her eyes, deep and expressive, held a kindness that seemed to transcend the suffering of the world. "I tend to the gardens here, though there is not much to tend these days." "The earth sleeps, as we all must at times," the doctor observed, "but it will awaken again, renewed." Clara smiled, a gentle curve that softened her features. "I like to think so. It's the promise of spring that keeps me going through the winter." They sat in companionable silence for a while, the the crackle of the fire a comforting backdrop to their thoughts. Above, the stars blazed fiercely, each one a beacon of hope against the canvas of the night. "Do you ever tire of it, Doctor?" Clara asked suddenly, her voice barely more than a breath. "This work, this endless fight against the darkness?" He considered her question, feeling the weight of it settle over him like a mantle. "There are moments," he admitted, "when the burden feels too great, when despair threatens to overwhelm. But then I remember why I began, why I chose this path. And why did you? To make a difference," he said simply, "to bring light where there is none, to mend what is broken, even if only a little." Clara nodded, her gaze thoughtful. "It's a noble calling. Not many would choose it." "Perhaps," he said, a hint of a smile touching his lips. "But in the end, we all have our roles to play. Ours just happens to be in the service of others." She looked at him then, her eyes searching his, as if seeking to understand the man behind the mask. "And who heals the healer?" she asked softly. The question lingered in the air, a poignant reminder of the solitary nature of his journey. Yet, in this moment, he did not feel alone. He felt the warmth of the fire, the presence of the boy, and the quiet strength of Clara by his side. These were the things that healed him, the connections, however fleeting, that reminded him of his own humanity. "The healer is healed by moments like these," he replied, his voice steady and sure. "By the kindness of strangers, the laughter of children, the beauty of a starlit sky." Clara smiled then, a smile that spoke of understanding and acceptance. "Then may you find many such moments, Doctor." They sat together long into the night, sharing stories and dreams, their words weaving a tapestry of hope and resilience. And when at last, the first light of dawn began to creep over the horizon, the doctor felt a renewed sense of purpose, his heart buoyed by the connections he had forged. The journey ahead was uncertain, fraught with challenges and hardships, but he faced it with a quiet determination, knowing that he carried with him the strength of the human spirit, a light that would guide him through the darkest of times. And as he rose to greet the new day, he felt a sense of belonging, a certainty that he was exactly where he was meant to be, a thread in the intricate tapestry of life. The morning air was crisp, carrying with it the faint scent of dew-kissed earth and the lingering smoke from the night's fires. The village was stirring, a gentle hum of awakening as the sun stretched its golden fingers across the land. The doctor, with his long, beaked mask and dark cloak, was a figure of solemnity amidst the burgeoning day. Yet, beneath the shadowed exterior, his heart was light, buoyed by the simple joys discovered in the most unexpected of places. He gathered his satchel, filled with the tools of his trade, herbs wrapped in soft cloth, a small wooden mortar and pestle, vials of tinctures, and a notebook filled with observations and sketches. Each item was a testament to his journey, a reminder of the lives he had touched and those who had touched his own. As he moved through the village, he received nods of acknowledgement, gestures of gratitude from faces both familiar and new. It was in these small interactions that he found solace, a balm for the weary soul. The doctor paused by a window where a woman was arranging flowers, her hands deftly weaving stems into a garland. She caught his gaze and offered a smile, a simple yet profound acknowledgement of shared humanity. The road ahead was long, winding through forests dense with ancient trees, their leaves whispering secrets to the wind. He walked with a measured pace, each step a rhythm that echoed in the silence of the woods. The landscape unfolded before him, a tapestry of greens and browns, punctuated by the vibrant hues of wildflowers nodding in the breeze. In the heart of the forest, he came upon a clearing bathed in sunlight, where a group of children played, their laughter a melody that danced through the air. They were unburdened by the weight of the world, their games a testament to the resilience of youth. The doctor watched them, his presence a shadow on the edge of their joyful world. Yet, one child, a girl with a crown of daisies, approached him with a tentative curiosity. "Are you the doctor?" she asked, her voice a soft murmur against the rustle of the leaves. He nodded, his mask bobbing with the movement. "I am." She handed him a small bouquet of wildflowers, her eyes wide with innocence and wonder. "For you," she said simply. The doctor took the offering, his gloved hands gentle as he accepted the gift. "Thank you," he replied, his voice a whisper of gratitude. "These are beautiful." The girl smiled, a fleeting moment of connection before she returned to her playmates, her laughter mingling with the song of birds hidden in the canopy above. As he continued his journey, the wildflowers were a vibrant reminder of the kindness that endured even in the shadow of despair. The road led him to a village nestled against the banks of a languid river, its waters a mirror reflecting the sky's azure expanse. Here, the air was tinged with the scent of water and the earthy warmth of sun-baked stones. The villagers greeted him with a mix of hope and apprehension, their eyes searching for reassurance in the depths of his own. He moved among them, his presence a beacon of comfort and care. He tended to the sick, his hands skilled and gentle, his words a balm for the spirit. In each face, he saw the flicker of life, a reminder of the fragility and strength that coexisted within the human heart. In the quiet moments between tending, he would sit by the river, its gentle flow a symphony of tranquility. Here, he found a moment of peace, his thoughts drifting like leaves carried by the current. It was in these moments that he felt the weight of his journey, the myriad experiences woven into the fabric of his being. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of amber and rose, he was joined by a fellow traveler, a minstrel whose songs carried the stories of the land. The minstrel strummed a lute, his voice a rich tapestry of sound that filled the air with tales of love and loss, of joy and sorrow. The doctor listened, his heart attuned to the music's ebb and flow. And when the minstrel paused, their eyes met in a shared understanding, a recognition of the journeys that had brought them to this moment. "Your path is not an easy one," the minstrel remarked, his voice a soft murmur against the fading light. "Yet you walk it with grace." The doctor nodded, the mask hiding the flicker of emotion that crossed his features. "We all walk our paths," he replied, guided by the stars and the whispers of the heart. They sat together, sharing stories and songs, their words weaving a tapestry of connection that transcended the boundaries of their worlds. And as the night deepened, the doctor felt the warmth of companionship, a light in the darkness that fortified his spirit. The days turned to weeks, the landscape shifting with the passage of time. The doctor moved from village to village, a solitary figure on a pilgrimage of healing. He faced each challenge with quiet resolve, his heart a sanctuary of hope in a world often shrouded in despair. Yet, amidst the trials, he found moments of beauty and grace, reminders of the resilience that lay at the core of the human spirit. In a small hamlet, nestled among rolling hills, he met an elderly woman who spoke of lost loves and forgotten dreams. Her voice was a tapestry of memories, each thread woven with laughter and tears. In her stories, he found echoes of his own journey, reflections of the paths he had walked and those yet to be traveled. "The world is a vast and wondrous place," she said, her eyes bright with the fire of a life well lived. "We are but travelers on its roads, leaving footprints that tell our stories." The doctor listened, his heart stirred by the wisdom in her words. He saw in her the embodiment of resilience, a testament to the strength that lay within the human soul. And as he took his leave, he carried her stories with him, a tapestry of experience that enriched his own. As the seasons turned, the doctor's journey continued, each step a testament to the enduring spirit of those he met along the way. He was a healer, a seeker of light in a world often touched by shadows. Yet, within the shadows, he discovered moments of brilliance, glimpses of beauty that illuminated his path. And so he walked on, a solitary figure in a world of endless possibilities, his heart a beacon of hope and healing. Each village, each encounter was a thread in the intricate tapestry of life, a reminder of the connections that bound them all. And in the quiet moments beneath the starlit sky, he found peace, knowing that he was exactly where he was meant to be, a healer on a journey of discovery and grace. The days stretched into weeks, and the weeks into months, as the doctor traversed the rugged landscapes of medieval Europe. The path was often treacherous, with mud-clogged roads and dense, whispering forests that seemed to hold secrets of their own. The world felt both vast and intimate, a paradox he pondered as he trudged onward, his cloak fluttering like a dark banner against the wind. In the small hours of the morning, when the world was softened by the gentle hush of dawn, the doctor would pause to reflect on the stories he had collected. Each one was a gem, polished by the trials of life, yet shining with an inner light that spoke of resilience and hope. He cherished these narratives, for they were more than mere tales. They were the essence of humanity distilled into words. One crisp autumn evening, as the leaves turned to gold and the air carried the scent of wood smoke and earth, the doctor arrived in a village nestled at the edge of a vast forest. The village was a cluster of thatched roofs and cobbled lanes, a place where time seemed to move at its own deliberate pace. The villagers greeted him with a mix of curiosity and caution, their eyes reflecting a lingering mistrust born of suffering and loss. Yet, as he had learned, kindness and patience were powerful elixirs. He set up his temporary quarters in a small, dimly lit cottage offered by a kindly widow whose husband had succumbed to the plague. Her name was Alara, and the lines etched into her face spoke of both sorrow and endurance. She welcomed him with a warm meal and a bed of straw, her hospitality a balm to his weary spirit. As the days unfolded, the doctor attended to the villagers, his presence a comfort in a world still haunted by shadows of the plague. He moved from house to house, his remedies a blend of herbs and whispered prayers, his touch gentle but firm. He listened to the villagers, absorbing their fears and hopes, their laughter and tears, weaving their stories into the fabric of his own journey. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the village in a golden glow, Alara sat with the doctor by the fire. The flames crackled softly, a symphony of warmth and light as she shared her tale, a story of love and loss, of a life turned upside down by the relentless march of the plague. Her voice was steady, though her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "My husband," she began, her gaze fixed on the dancing flames, "was a good man. He loved this village, its people. He was a carpenter, you see, and his hands could shape wood into anything. A cradle, a chair, a sturdy roof. He built our home with those hands, filled it with laughter and love. And then the sickness came, like a thief in the night, stealing him away." The doctor listened, his heart aching for the pain etched in her words. He could see the vivid images of her past, a life once full and vibrant, now reduced to memories and echoes. Yet, amid the sorrow, there was a quiet strength in Alara, an acceptance that life, despite its cruelties, must go on. As the fire flickered, casting shadows on the walls, Alara spoke of her dreams, of rebuilding her life from the ashes of loss. "I have my garden," she said, a hint of pride in her voice. "The earth is rich here, and it yields its bounty if you know how to listen, how to tend to it with care. It's a small thing, but it keeps me grounded, gives me purpose." The doctor nodded, understanding the solace found in the simple act of nurturing life. He had seen it in many forms, this quiet defiance against despair, and it never ceased to inspire him. As the night deepened, they sat together in companionable silence, the air filled with the scent of herbs and the soft lullaby of the wind. Days turned into weeks, and the village began to stir with a renewed sense of life. The doctor watched as children played in the fields, their laughter a melody that lifted the spirits of all who heard it. The villagers worked together, mending roofs and tending to the harvest, their resilience a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. In the evenings, the doctor would join them in their gatherings, sharing stories and songs, his heart warmed by their camaraderie. He found himself drawn to this village, to its people, their lives intertwined like the roots of ancient trees. It was a place of healing, not just for the body, but for the soul, and he cherished every moment spent there. Yet, as the seasons continued their relentless march, the doctor knew that his journey was far from over. There were other villages, other souls in need of healing, and he could not tarry too long in one place. The road called to him, a siren song that spoke of adventure and discovery, of lives yet to be touched by his presence. On the morning of his departure, the village gathered to bid him farewell. Alara pressed a small bundle of herbs into his hands, her eyes bright with gratitude and friendship. "For the road," she said, her voice steady, though her hands trembled slightly. "May it keep you safe and guide you back to us one day." The doctor thanked her, his heart full of emotion, and promised to return when his journey allowed. He mounted his horse, a sturdy creature named Astra, who had become his faithful companion on this long and winding path. The villagers waved as he rode away, their figures growing smaller until they were but specks on the horizon. As he traveled, the doctor reflected on his time in the village, on the lives he had touched, and the stories he had gathered. Each memory was a thread, woven together to form a tapestry that stretched across the landscape of his journey. It was a tapestry of resilience and hope, of humanity in its truest form, and it warmed him against the chill of the autumn winds. The road before him was long, stretching toward the horizon like a promise of new beginnings. He rode with purpose, his heart a beacon of light in a world often shrouded in darkness. For he was a healer, a seeker of stories, a weaver of dreams, and his journey was far from over. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a golden glow over the fields and forests as Astra's hooves beat a steady rhythm on the earth. The doctor felt the gentle pull of the future, a whisper of adventures yet to unfold, and he knew that every step forward was a step toward discovery, toward understanding the vast tapestry of life that lay before him. As the stars began to prick the velvet sky, the doctor made camp by a babbling brook, its song a soothing lullaby. He gazed up at the constellations, each one a reminder of the countless stories scattered across the world like stardust. He thought of the village, of the laughter and tears, of the wisdom shared and the lessons learned. It was a part of him now, a chapter in the book of his life that would forever be etched in his heart. The night air was crisp, carrying with it the scent of pine and promise. He wrapped his cloak tighter, feeling the warmth of the fire and the comfort of knowing that he was exactly where he was meant to be. The journey, with all its challenges and triumphs, was his to embrace, a dance between the known and the unknown. And so, with a heart full of gratitude and a spirit eager for what lay ahead, the doctor closed his eyes and drifted into dreams. The road would continue, winding through valleys and over mountains, leading him to new faces and untold tales. But for now, beneath the vast expanse of the universe, he rested, a small but vital part of the endless story of life. In the morning, he would rise again, and with Astra by his side, he would continue onward, ever searching, ever healing, ever weaving the threads of his journey into the rich fabric of the world. For he was a traveler of both land and soul, and his path was one of endless horizons and boundless skies. The dawn broke gently, painting the sky with hues of pink and gold, as if whispering promises of new beginnings. The doctor awoke to the soft rustling of leaves and the gentle nudge of Astra, whose eyes sparkled with the morning light. Together, they stood at the edge of the forest, where the path unfurled before them like a ribbon of possibilities. With each step, the world seemed to hum with life, a symphony of nature that resonated with the rhythm of his heart. Villages and towns awaited them, each with its own story, each soul a chapter in the grand narrative of existence. The doctor knew that every encounter, every moment of healing, was a thread in the grand tapestry he was destined to weave. As they journeyed onward, the landscapes changed, from rolling hills to rugged cliffs, from bustling marketplaces to serene, solitary meadows. And yet, through it all, the essence of his journey remained unchanged, a quest for connection, for understanding, for the gentle mending of hearts and bodies. The doctor learned as much as he taught, each experience a lesson, each person a teacher in their own right. He carried their stories with him, cherished them, and let them shape him in ways he had never imagined. In return, he offered not just his skills, but his empathy, his presence, a reminder of the beauty and strength found in vulnerability. With Astra by his side, the journey was not just a passage through space, but a traversing of emotions, a constant unfolding of self-discovery. Together, they faced storms and sunshine, laughter and tears, their bond growing stronger with each shared mile. As the sun set once more, casting long shadows across the path, the doctor paused, taking a moment to breathe in the beauty of the world around him. The horizon stretched infinitely, a testament to the endless adventures yet to come. And in that fleeting moment, he understood that his journey was not just about reaching a destination, but about embracing every step, every heartbeat, every fleeting second. With a heart full of hope and a soul at peace, the doctor and Astra continued their journey, knowing that the road ahead was as boundless as their dreams. For in the end, it was not the destination that defined them, but the journey itself, an eternal dance of life, love, and endless horizons. The gentle whisper of the evening breeze carried with it the memories of their shared moments, weaving a tapestry of laughter, tears, and whispered dreams under starlit skies. Each step forward was a testament to their resilience, an echo of the lessons learned and the love that had blossomed in the most unexpected of places. As they walked, the golden hues of twilight painted the world in shades of wonder, and the stars began to emerge, each a silent witness to their odyssey. The doctor glanced at Astra, her eyes reflecting the shimmering constellations above, and felt a profound sense of gratitude for the companionship that had transformed his journey from a solitary quest into a shared adventure of the heart. In the quietude of the dusk, he realized that their journey together was a microcosm of life itself, a blend of uncertainty and discovery, woven with threads of courage and compassion. The road ahead was a canvas yet to be filled, a promise of new beginnings and uncharted paths, all waiting to be explored with the same spirit of wonder and openness that had brought them this far. The world around them seemed to hold its breath, as if acknowledging the significance of this moment. A moment when two souls, having traversed the vast expanse of their own doubts and dreams, stood united in their shared pursuit of tomorrow. With a silent vow to cherish every moment, to embrace the unpredictability of the journey, the doctor and Astra stepped forward, their hearts beating in unison with the rhythm of the earth beneath their feet. And so, as the night enveloped them in its tender embrace, they walked on, side by side, into the infinite tapestry of the universe, a testament to the power of connection, the beauty of the unknown, and the enduring magic of a journey shared. The stars above twinkled like ancient storytellers, each one whispering tales of adventures past and yet to come. Their light danced on the path ahead, guiding the doctor and Astra as they ventured into the unknown, their footsteps leaving gentle imprints on the soft earth, a reminder of their passage through this fleeting world. Time seemed to stretch and contract, bending to the rhythm of their shared laughter and quiet contemplation. In the silent language of the cosmos, they found solace, each moment a precious gift to be savored and cherished. The moon, in its quiet majesty, cast a silvery glow that wrapped around them like a protective cloak, cradling their dreams in its luminescent embrace. With each step, they wove their own story into the grand narrative of existence, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the boundless possibilities that lay before them. The night was alive with promise, a living tapestry that shimmered with the colors of hope and possibility. As they continued their journey, hand in hand, they understood that the essence of life was not in the destination, but in the journey itself. It was in the whispers of the wind, in the gentle rustling of leaves, in the silent understanding shared between two souls who dared to dream beyond the confines of the known. And so, under the vast canopy of the starlit sky, the doctor and Astra walked on, their hearts open to the wonders that awaited, their spirits buoyed by the infinite potential of the universe. In that moment, they were more than travelers. They were dreamers, pioneers of their own destiny, forever entwined in the beautiful, ever